It was a thick vegetable soup served in an earthenware bowl with a piece of brown bread on the side. The vegetables had been cut awkwardly with an inexperienced hand, and the parts of the soup were burnt. The bread, meanwhile, was inexpertly made and sunken in the middle like a crater. The outer shell was hard enough to break teeth, while the middle was chewy and curiously textureless. Nevertheless, the traveler was hungry and made rather short work of Daffodil's less than impressive offering. The young nun watched as the traveler ate their food, shoveling it into the dark recess where their mouths should have been, and frowned. What do you think? Is it good? It's good. Regardless of what it is, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, you say it's good. That's such an obvious lie. It isn't good at all. But despite being wily enough to see through the traveler's blatant falsehoods, Daffodil's cheeks still flushed. It seemed though she knew she was being lied to, the lie still made her happy. Humans were such complex, contradictory creatures. So, Madeline smiled warmly, as was her wont, when the traveler set the empty bowl and plate to one side. It is getting rather late. I believe Daffodil and I will turn in soon, but I fear that would be rather lonely for you. Lonely? Indeed, I would not want you sitting in the vestry on your own. I would feel guilty. Just leave them to me, Madeline. You're giving them a roof over their head and a place to sleep. Isn't that enough? But what of company? Rabbits die if they get too lonely. This is all of a sudden I became a rabbit? The traveler stiffened at this comment, but neither woman noticed. Instead, Daffodil rolled her eyes. She rolled her eyes a lot. It was probably bad for her. Maybe they would fall out of her skull one day. Please. The traveler might be many things, but I'm sure they're not a rabbit. For one thing, rabbits can't talk. Well, I suppose you're right. So our esteemed guest, more like unwanted nuisance, would you care for some company tonight? If you desire it, I would not mind staying with you. When Madeline asked that, the traveler found it hard to resist. They really had no choice. Are you sure you're all right in those damp clothes? What do you think? The person's all soaking wet. There's got to be something clean, something dry for them. Oh, thank you for your concern, but I will be fine. Oh my God, that's such a lie. Madeline did not look convinced, but she let it slide. For that, the traveler was grateful. Even so, the expression on Madeline's face, all of a sudden, it looked horribly sad. Had they done something to offend her? I'm not wearing this cloak because I don't trust you. I do. I can't take it off. Not for your sake or Daffodil's or even my own. I hope you understand. The traveler did not know why, but they did not want to upset Madeline. Though they hardly knew the woman, she was sweet and soft and gentle. The kind of person whose smiles could lighten your heart and whose frowns could pierce it like thorns. If they had been with Daffodil, the traveler would not have cared one whit about causing any potential offense. Madeline was different. Madeline. The nun looked surprised, however, at the traveler's comment, and she blinked. Oh, I'm not offended. Please do not worry on my behalf. But you look so sad, I didn't know what else to say. I am sad, but not because of you, not entirely. So, is it partially because of me? Well... Madeline directed her gaze upwards at the vaulted roof of the church. It was still raining outside. The rainwater tapped against the stained glass windows insistently, asking to be let in. Knowing Madeline, she was the kind of woman who would have opened the worm-eaten wooden doors to welcome the rain. I just think it's sad that you feel the need to hide your face. Not that I'm trying to coerce you into removing your hood. If you don't want to, you do not have to. That is your own prerogative, but I cannot help but wonder, though it may seem rude of me, what kind of life must you have led to make you so very secretive? Like I said, it's the sunlight. It's bad for my skin. But it's dark right now. The traveler, unbeknownst to Madeline, bit their lower lip. Perhaps they could have removed their hood. But they did not know Madeline well. But they did not feel the nun would judge them for their appearance. Yet the traveler could not. They reached upwards with tremulous hands, but froze in the act of revealing their face. Being scorned by such a sweet woman would have hurt too much. Anyway, I apologize for making the atmosphere awkward. It was rude of me. We are going to be together for quite some time, and it does not appear that the rain will stop anytime soon, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Questions? The traveler glanced around about the church as the wooden pews, the cobwebs in the corner, and the withered tree by the altar, and pondered. Why is there a tree growing in the church? Are you and Daffodil the only nuns here? What is the nature of your relationship with Daffodil? Can you tell me a bedtime story? I'm going to go with, can you tell me a bedtime story? Oh my! You want me to tell you a story? Really? Yes, well, you have a nice voice. I like listening to you. It's relaxing. Uh-huh. Goodness, I have never been told that before. Hasn't Daffodil? In case you haven't noticed, Daffodil is quite awkward. She dislikes complimenting others. I believe she has never been taught how. No? No, it's quite sad, really. I suppose it is to be expected, given her upbringing, but that is neither here nor there. I shouldn't speak for her. If she knew you were sharing juicy tidbits of her past with a stranger, she would never trust you again. I fear you may be correct. Though I love her dearly, she can be quite contrary. A story, then. I suppose I could tell you a parable. A parable? Mm-hmm. It is a tale from the book of Marjolaine, and it is well known among the inhabitants of Decoy. Bernadette told me it when I was small, and I've always cherished it. It is such a dear story, really, though quite sad. I think a bittersweet tale suits a rainy night like this. You do? Thank goodness. I am fond of this parable myself, but Daffodil dislikes it. She says it's too sentimental. She's such a realist. Despite being a nun? Are you trying to infer one cannot be a realist if they are a nun? If I were the type, I could take offense to that. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to imply. But the traveler's voice broke off. Madeline was giggling. Do not worry. Daffodil is more cynical about religion than you are. I have heard it all before. But she's supposed to be a nun. She's supposed to be. But she has no desire to serve the goddess. What does she want to serve then? Well, I wonder. To return to the story, are you familiar with the concept of souls? Souls? The traveler repeated the word, tasting it on their tongue like a piece of boiled candy, and then shook their head. Taquinisinine was not the traveler's mother tongue, and there were many words and phrases they were unfamiliar with. Souls was one of them. Well, let me see. Madeline pondered, her gaze directed roofward as she thought. I suppose I would call it an entity that resides within us that lingers on after we die. Is it something like a conscious? Not quite. Perhaps I didn't explain it very well. Anyway, this parable is about souls and how the concept of a soul has changed over time. It is a religious tale, but you can regard it as a simple story if you wish. How does it go? If you truly wish to know, Madeline shifted, her hands folded in her lap as she made herself more comfortable. The story of lost souls. Okay, wait. And once again, you are in the mysterious library. For a few moments, or even longer, your consciousness faded. The sea of stars, endless expanding aether, and you did not know where your body ended and the air began. What happened? Oh, greetings, my most esteemed guest. I really am pleased to see you again. She is? You were gone for such a long time. I started to wonder. Well, let us just say many souls who find their way here begin to lose a grip on their true identity. When this happens, they are consumed by darkness, and I never see them again. You shiver. When you were gone, you're being consumed by something beyond the void. Was your existence in mortal peril? Is this the price to be paid for not listening to Lycoris's story? Oh, you want to leave? But what if I don't let you? What if I want you to stay here with me? Forever. For all eternity. Lycoris stares at you. Her eyes are wide and strangely empty. Is it just your imagination, or do they look curiously hollow? What has happened to her? Has she broken? You shuffle back a little in your seat. Your breath catches in your chest. What is she going to do? She holds you in place with her gaze steely. And then... she starts to giggle. Was she just making fun of you? That isn't nice. For a second I thought you were seriously scared. Sorry. You pout. Lycoris, meanwhile, giggles mischievously. You can leave if you want. Don't mind me. Just remember, you have to love me. And only me. And then the world around you goes black. And once more you have returned. As though drawn by some powerful otherworldly magnetism, you find yourself here. Well, isn't that to be expected? She told you as much. This library is always waiting. Ah, greeting once more, my guest. Lycoris offers you a smile. It's a small smile, relatively understated, but it lights up the gloom more effectively than any candle. Shall we continue where we last left off? Your head spins. You open your mouth to reply, but no sound comes out. Instead, you choke on your own tongue. This is all far too much for you. Oh dear, do not fret so. That is easy for her to say, but how can you help yourself? None of this makes sense. If you think about things too deeply, you will place your body under an undue amount of strain. We only have faint, phantom-like existences. Begin to ponder the nature of your own life too greatly, it will snuff itself out. Then you will forget everything. You will forget me. But most of all, you will forget yourself. But it was far too late. You have already forgotten yourself, haven't you? Yes, it really is hopeless. You don't even know your own name. You have precious little to forget. Getting rid of the last few scraps of your identity should not be too hard. In fact, it's even easier than closing your eyes. She's creepy! She's freaking creepy! Goodness, your body is growing very faint. Lycoris's voice, too, is growing fainter and fainter. Swallowed up by the darkness, you can no longer hear the crackling fire. You can no longer smell the dust. You can no longer feel your fingertips. If you are incapable of going, I suppose this is for the best. But I will still be waiting. The story will always be waiting. If our paths ever cross again, I will be sure to greet you like a dear friend. But why does it hurt so? Has this perchance happened before?